Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Green Wisdom Health, home of hope, health, happiness, and joy. Here to bring you an exciting show about stress, because I know stress and excitement don't seem to go together, but maybe when we get done with the show, it will go together. And with the holidays approaching, there is a whole lot of stress. So this one we're calling is the United States of Stress, because we serve the United States. So we're going to address your stress and help you get rid of it and help that you will have a joyful holiday season. So, Dr. Lewis, can you get us in the mood for feeling better and less stress?
I don't know. I can throw some maybe words of wisdom out there. I think personally, most of us create our own stress. It can diminish your life. If you're lucky, that's all it does, but it can kill you. It can create diseases in your body, and that's well-researched stuff. It can cause your thyroid issues. It can cause adrenal fatigue, depression, high blood pressure, heart attacks, cancer, repressed, stressful emotions. I personally think most people need to learn, keyword, learn to think differently and respond differently. And it goes back to the old saying of some people create their own storms and then they complain when it rains.
Isn't it true that a lot of people spend their lives waiting to be happy? Like when they have more money or when they can lose weight, then they would be happy.
Oh, they say, well, when I lose 40 pounds, I'll be happy. Or when I get this promotion, I'll be happy. And it's like, if you get happy first, all the good things come to you much more quickly and easily. You just kind of have to get into the mood, of acceptance. And then there's some people that are 6 gallons of crazy in a 5-gallon bucket too. Well, you can't medicate that out, but there are a lot of things that you can take nutritionally that can actually help circumvent some of those thoughts or some of the feelings that help create thoughts until you have enough good thoughts that creates, something better. Many of these supplements, it can go from simple. I mean, magnesium helps create GABA, and then you go to the next step of dopamine. And, I was talking to an addict the other day. I don't know if he appreciated my information, but it was more like, usually you have a dopamine deficiency. So, I hope he liked what I had to say. I tried to, go on that very gently since he was addicted to a lot of stuff. But to decrease your stress and create health, it takes dedication, it takes hard work, it takes sacrifice, and it takes good habits that do it over and over and over again. And we have so many wonderful patients that will do this on a consistent manner. That's it, consistency. If you start looking at, I've got this symptom, is it the supplements that do it? That alone causes stress, and it's the fear and doubt that kills your dreams. If you talk about, I've been on your supplements and this good thing happened, is it the supplements? It's like, it's not that it's all in your head, but what you think and what you speak does really and truly create a better life. And I've always been the kind that says you have to live your life like somebody left the gate open. For you country people, you'll understand that. And the other thing is I think it's best if you don't underestimate your worth, because without your presence, somebody's life would not be complete. And if you're healthier, then you have the capacity to give them more and more blessings. And one of the easy ways to do that, and I'm sure we'll repeat some of this, but, you have to forgive. When you forgive, you set the prisoner free, and then you discover the prisoner was really you. So some of the things, and I'm going to rattle these off pretty quickly, but some of the things that create stress is death of a spouse, divorce, separation, jail term, death of a family member or close friend, personal injury or illness. Marriage can be stressful, although if you do it right, it's not. Being fired from work, retirement. I can't tell you how many women say, I love my husband until he retired. And then they go into stress because they have to deal with their husband being around and under their feet. Pregnancy. We're getting more and more 20, 30, 40-year-olds that's having sexual difficulties. Business downturns and readjustments. Different financial status can be really, a bad thing. Death of a close friend. And it always bothers me too much. I create my own stress. It bothers me when somebody dies at what I think is an early age, and it's like, well, I gave them the answers. They just didn't love themselves enough to do it. And that's a small list. One of the lists that I saw, it says a mortgage or a loan over $80,000, and I just roll my eyes and says, really? Because I know people that are multi-millionaires, and I don't know how they do it. They try to live too large. We live like somebody left a gate open, but we kind of have a very simplistic life compared to what some people do. And it's a lot less stressful for Janet and for me. We downsize a lot. So, there's all kinds of things that can create stress. So, one of the things, habits of a less stressed person is, as Janet says, don't wait to be happy. You can choose that now. Let go of the grudges. I talked about forgetting, and, that's like, well, that's in the past. You can't do anything about it. So today is the only time that you have any power over your life and others. Treat everyone with kindness. Get less and less aggressive when you drive. Janet actually caught me the other day. Says, I noticed you let that person pull in the RV get in front of you. It's like, well, yeah, it would have been very dangerous had I not let them in front of me to make a left and get on I-20. It's like, why not let them in and give them a break? When you have a problem, you have to look at it differently. When it becomes not a problem, but an accomplishment, a challenge that you overcome, and then you feel really, really good about it. And there's plenty of things that I think it helps to put into your body so that it changes the way you feel and the way you think. And, you've heard Janet and me talk about the gut-brain connection. There's actually 2 times more nerves that go from the GI tract to the brain than there is from the brain going down to the GI tract. So the old question is, who controls who? So magnesium's the first place to start. Some of the other things are some of the B vitamins can make a huge, huge difference. Whether you have stress or anxiety or depression, and there's supplements that would work for all of them, but we do have supplements that are a little more specific. I think niacin in small amounts, inositol, and most people don't even know about inositol, but it's kind of related to the B vitamins, and it helps with panic attacks. It helps with obsessive compulsive disorders, and it helps with depression. Janet and I were invited into this huge, huge bus type RV, and the lady says, I'm OCD. And she could not enjoy her several $100,000 RV. She was so obsessed, and you could tell it looked like it came off the showroom floor, but she spent all her time making sure there wasn't a grain of sand on the floor and no time enjoying it. And that did a lot for us to realize how happy we were and not OCD like that. I'm a big fan of taurine, and most people don't, a lot of people don't use the amino acids individually, but taurine's really good at detoxing the liver, as well as several other things. It helps the heart. It helps the brain function better. Another thing we use a lot of is TMG or DMG, dimethylglycine or trimethylglycine. It lowers homocysteine levels. It's a methyl donor, and it kind of acts like SAMe. And Janet loves it when I take SAMe because she thinks I'm just the sweetest guy in the world when I take it. But that will ease depression and symptoms. So, back to the treat everyone with kindness thing. There's a book called The Happiness Advantage, and it was given to me by Dr. Warford in Bismarck, is that North Dakota, I guess, out of the kindness of his heart. And it's a really good book. And I appreciate Dr. Warford just for being that kind to me. And there's a lot of things. This is not even out of the book, but there's notes that I made. I don't know where they're from, but it's in this book itself. I wrote it there. It says, nurture yourself from the inside out. And that goes back into the supplements. It's very, very important because your body can't run on empty forever.
Well, I'd like to also mention, there's some people that really have a physical component going on with stress, depression. You hear us many times if you're listening to our show regularly, which we hope you are. We talk about depression, and anxiety actually comes out of the gut. So if you're eating poorly through the holiday season, which I see some wonderful recipes coming across social media feeds that look great until you've eaten them. And
because I tagged her in them.
And then they're not so great later. Yeah, Dr. Lewis actually tagged me in one that trying to make a recipe for that was like his mama made for him, which all you women out there know no one can ever match mama's recipes. But I did make an attempt at it, and I tried using gluten-free flour in it, and they fell apart. So,
but they tasted good, and we laughed. We laughed and laughed and laughed while she was trying to hand feed me these
with a fork instead of little round cookie balls they were supposed to be.
And I got powdered sugar sprinkled all over me. And we had just the best time laughing about it. And that's the key: is find joy everywhere you can.
But so many times you eat these things, and then it creates more depression.
You're feeding yeast, or what?
Yeah, it just makes you lethargic and tired, and then you get more depressed, and then the cold weather and the lack of the vitamin D. So it's a vicious cycle. But we always talk about running lab, and if you are new to the show, basically we run very low cost lab work so that we're not guessing at what's wrong. And when you're talking about stress, there is one on there for stress called cortisol. And many times people will run to the store because their Aunt Mary said, "Hey, this made me feel really great. It made me really happy." And you take it and it didn't do anything for you. And that's because it can be a cortisol problem. And without knowing it on lab, you don't know which way to treat the cortisol. Because if they're low, you need something that actually builds the adrenals. And if they're high, you need something that slows you down because you're overly anxious and stressed. So we'd recommend that you also look at lab so that you can get a well-rounded picture in addition to what Dr. Lewis is talking about here as far as other products. And then, of course, the tips on just being happier in general. But if you're really trying to do these things and you just don't feel right, consider the lab. And, go on our website to greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey, and then that way Dr. Lewis can personally call you and help you figure out which way is the best way to proceed for you. He loves doing that. He loves reaching out and talking to people and helping them with what's going on with them individually. So don't feel like you're just having to listen to a show and, hey, I've got to go try to figure out this on my own. That's what we're here for. Go ahead.
Yeah. On this list, and it says slow down. The next one's breathe deeply. I'm a big proponent of bare feet. Put your feet in the dirt. I had my boots off yesterday in the office. Simplify your surroundings. And I know I'm repeating some of this because I've got different lists. And declutter. And we're about to get rid of all kinds of good things in our house. We're getting rid of 2 good TVs. Have a wonderful preacher friend that goes and blesses other people with it.
And it feels good to let that stuff go. It feels good to give it to someone else that might need it instead of you just hanging on to it and thinking, hey, one day I might use that. It's getting older, and then you don't have any reason to upgrade anything because you've still got this old stuff that's still being drug along behind you. So let it go. Give it to someone else. Put it through the circle of giving and receiving.
I think that's in a movie, The Circle of Life or something. And I don't know. Jan and I have so much fun all day long. So it's kind of, I look at people that are unhappy and I think, wow, that's a choice. And you've heard me on other podcasts. Hopefully you've listened to some of them. Talk about the book, Negaholics, and the ones that are the most negative will never read it. It's a really, really good book talking about how you get hooked on the negative cycle, looking at what's wrong. And that's why I mentioned this, the happiness advantage that Dr. Warford gave me, because it will train you to think about and speak about what's right. You say yes to the good things and you say no to the things that stress you out. And so Janet and I kind of have a thing that, she does a mental gymnastics about, well, I have to, but I can't, but I have to. And she's always trying to do the right thing. And me being rude and crude like I am, I said, honey, if it ain't a hell yes, the answer's hell no. And she says, thank you. That kind of simplifies it. So listen to your spirit.
And a lot of people, they'll push themselves past what they think they should. And you think that's being lazy. But in fact, it's actually your innate person that's saying, hey, this is not good for you. Slow down and do this differently. And it's really good because Dr. Lewis really did help me with that. I'm like, I feel guilty, I guess, if you want to put guilt on there because I'm not doing what I think I should. And the other part's going, hey, relax, take it easy. And it's actually Dr. Lewis that always is the one telling me, hey, relax, take it easy. So be good to yourself because if you push yourself and you try to please all these other people.
That's in a song about Santa. So be good for goodness sake.
Man, we went through movies and now songs. It's like, this is awesome. I wanted to make sure that you talk to people, though, about these 2 products because we also have a question that's going to cover quite a bit of time here. So we only had room for 1 question today. But I wanted you to know that there are a couple of products available because and we're Aunt Mary telling you which ones to get here. These actually work.
And they're somewhat close to incredible.
Yeah. There are a couple of different products for stress and anxiety, or if you just have anxiety, or one if you have depression with anxiety. So Dr. Lewis is going to tell you the difference.
Well, and I hear this a lot of people say, but I have anxiety. I have panic attacks. Serenity is the favorite one for me. And it's got the vitamin C, niacin that I talked about, B6. It's got the right kind of folic acid, which is the quatropolic. The 5-MTHF, it's got the right kind of B12, zinc, and magnesium I talked about. It's got the inositol and taurine that I talked about. But it's got theanine, and then it's got the GABA, that's gamma-aminobutyric acid. But it's the patented or trademarked pharma GABA. That's the good stuff that's much, much, much more absorbable. And then it's got the 5-HTP for people that have the panic/stress, anxiety, depression, anxiety, do the serenity. If you're just kind of, I said that wrong. So go ahead and fix that, Janet.
It's actually Cerevive is the one that Dr. Lewis just said. These all kind of look alike. And
they have a great overlap of ingredients, and one can work for the other. So go ahead and get specific with them.
Yeah, the Cerevive is actually the one for depression more. I actually gave this as a sample to a guy that has racehorses, and he was taking a part of a Xanax before he would watch his $100,000 horse try to make a stab at some sort of a win that would pay off a whole bunch. And he said, I have to take something just to calm me down. I said, okay, we'll try the Cerevive one time and see what you think. And he took 3 of them, I think, at a time. And he said, I really think that stuff worked.
Yeah, he's thinking about giving it to the horse to calm it down.
But that was more for if you have depression and anxiety. Now, the Serenity is kind of a lighter version of Cerevive. It's without the depression, just the anxiety type thing. So if you're taking like pantothenic acid or you're taking a lot of B vitamins, Serenity would be a great option for you because it's just to help you with people with just anxiety issues.
And we'll help you, pick the right one. Although either one would work, and that's why I went through, some of those individual ingredients. I don't know. I think we all deserve to be happy, and the problem is some people just don't love themselves enough to be happy. The thing about, I don't know, it's just like, good Lord, you only got one life. Listen to that inner spirit. To laugh all the time. Speak positive thoughts out loud and forgive yourself for the past. You can't change it anyway. And one of the things, we get so many people we feel blessed about. One of them is a lady named Amanda, PhD, very intelligent, sweet, sweet lady. And her husband, Scott's just incredible too. She says, would you maybe go over a segment that covers what you should have in your medicine cabinet for a just in case? And I think, well, that's really a good thing. So there are a lot of things we keep around. Janet, I'll let you go over some of them if you'd like. And Amanda's the one that coined the term, Dr. Lewis, going down the rabbit trail. So thanks, Doc.
And he's actually staying out of it today pretty well. So
I'll change. Don't worry.
Medicine cabinet must-haves. We need to start with the cold and flu season because that's what we're in right now. And there's so many people coming in with runny noses, stopped up noses. Hey, I think I'm getting the flu. What about a preventative? So here we go. Viricid is our number one thing for the flu. When we're not saying we can prevent it, we're just saying that it sure slows it down. Or
there are people ranting and raving about how good they feel when they start taking it.
Yes, and we've had people come in here that thought they were coming down with something and it magically went away. So that's Viricid.
Your body has the ability to fight.
Right. And then you have the people that are stopped up with their sinuses, can't breathe.
And they talk like this. Okay.
Then that one's called Sinatrol for sinuses. So it's very good at making the congestion disappear. And then we have one for runny noses, and it's called Natural Dehist, and it dries up all of the running, and it really does work.
But, it helps a lot with the food allergies also because it works on the histamine reaction when your body's putting out too much histamine.
It also helps with hemorrhoids, believe it or not. See, these little tidbits you can't just pick up off the bottle.
I wouldn't know. You've never been a hemorrhoid to me, so I wouldn't know.
Well, it's got quercetin in it, which is huge for hemorrhoids also. So
yeah, major antioxidant, yeah.
And then our old standby that we've loved for many years that just helps with viruses in general, not necessarily the flu, is olive leaf extract. And it does have to be a brand that is high in oliprin, which is what makes it work. And our particular favorite is a Designs for Health brand called olive leaf extract.
It's even stronger than the one we used to use with great success, and that's the one I was taking. And no, I was taking a much weaker brand when I had that spider bite, and they could not understand why I didn't get the MRSA. But it was the olive leaf that did it.
Correct. And then here's another one that most of you have not heard of, and y'all will all kind of look at me like, what? Lauracedin. It's actually from monolaurin, which is from the coconut.
Mm-hmm.
And they're little pellets that you take, and it's for viruses.
Booger bear bacteria.
Yeah, we've got
yeast.
people that have Epstein-Barr that take it.
Mononucleosis.
It's incredible for the immune system. You cannot overdose on it. It helps urinary tract problems.
Yeah, the interstitial cystitis.
Correct.
The ladies that have horrible pain, and then they have an overgrowth of stuff after they take the antibiotics.
And you have people that can't swallow well, and this is great for them because they're little bitty, tiny pellets.
You don't chew them up.
Yeah, I had a man that chewed them up. He told me they taste like tires. I don't know when he'd been eating tires.
Well, Janet asked him, how often do you get out and lick the tires on your truck?
He goes, well, I just chewed them up, like you said. I said, I didn't tell you to chew them up. And there's a little scoop, and you do 1 to 2 scoops at a time, and you can take up to 12 scoops of it a day. And people never seem to hear that part. It's up to 12 scoops a day to keep things at bay. And when you start feeling like congested or like you're beginning to come down with like respiratory stuff, you do some of this lauricidin, and it about 95% of the time will knock it out unless you have other problems like constipation. And my favorite story, constipation.
There should be a song about that.
Yes, but if you're taking this stuff and it's like it's not working, it's usually because you're backed up and not going to the bathroom like you should.
You have to excrete the toxins.
Yes, and if you need help excreting toxins, which would be in the form of going to the bathroom 30 minutes to an hour after each meal you have, and you're not doing that, then you might want to consider something called Super Aloe, because it's a capsule. It is not toxic. It does not change your colon habits. It doesn't get the colon does not get dependent on it like many of your laxatives and over-the-counter products you're taking, and some have very toxic chemicals in it, which is making you go to the bathroom to start with because the body's just going, hey, just get it out of here. This is actually aloe vera, which is helping you be healthier. But we have it in 2 strengths. One's a 250, which is for those that have slight constipation. And then we have one that's a Super Aloe 450 for ones that have horrible constipation issues. So
one of them's a 22 and one of them's a 12 gauge.
Yeah. So if you're eating 3 meals a day and 3 trains aren't coming through the tunnel, say you've only got 1, 2 max coming through, I would go with a 250. If you're not seeing trains but every other day or every 3 days, you definitely need the 450. So you got to get that going or you're going to have bad allergy sickness stuff for the winter. And then the last product that we have is, I just threw it in here because I was just looking through the shelves and Amanda wanted to know what we carried in our house. And, oh, God only knows what all we carry. We also carry Argentin, the colloidal silver, for like a natural antibiotic. But the other one that I really like is something called turmeric. And it's turmeric is in it, but there's bromelain and quercetin also in it. And what it does is, like, if you've hurt your back or fallen over something and you've got an injury somewhere, arm pain, shoulder pain, Dr. Lewis is a chiropractor by trade, and so many people will come in here and need adjustments. Well, after sometimes they're needing them too often and we're thinking you're not really healing as fast as you should be, we'll add in some turmeric with them when they leave, because we love seeing them, but we know they're in pain. So the turmeric actually takes the edge off and helps them heal faster, and then suddenly they don't need as many chiropractic adjustments.
But the turmeric's good for the brain all too. The reason we learned about this is we had 1 bottle of it, and I thought, well, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I want to know if it works. So a patient / friend of mine came in, pipeliner that needs neck surgery, needed it years ago. And I said, here, try this and see if it works. And he came back later and says, okay, I need to buy some. I said, well, we don't even carry it. We're waiting to see if it worked on you. He says, I didn't have surgery. My neck pain went away. Of course, he will eventually need neck surgery, but it decreased the inflammation. So inflammation can be quelled in many, many different areas. So we carry that. It's very, very popular. And some people just take it regular because they need, as Janet said, fewer adjustments, which is fine. Us chiropractors, we'll go fishing. No problem.
But we really want you to get well. Your health is what matters most to us.
Right.
So we've learned don't be stressed. Stress is a temporary thing and can be fixed with nutrition, low-cost lab work.
And thinking correctly and speaking positive. I was called Pollyanna one time, and it was not a compliment. I thought it was, though.
And then if you have physical issues with health and want to make sure you're staying well through the holidays so that because, those go hand in hand, you get depressed and stressed out, then you get sick. So we're trying to make sure you have things on both sides that keep you healthy. So, Dr. Lewis, would you like to give us any parting words for stress that can make someone feel better?
Yeah, go out and do random acts of kindness. And if you get up to doing more than one a day, you get up to 5 a day, you will feel good for many days or weeks after that. If you're actually nice to people, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Some people buy lab or buy supplements for their friends and loved ones, and other people just go out and buy coffee, for the guy in line, or buy a meal, or make them laugh on the elevator. But we can have fun. It's still possible to have a healthy, happy life, and I think it needs to start with us. So let's get started and make it a great life and a healthier nation.
And we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show. Have a great week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.